Hi, it's Davina. We're back in my kitchen, and today I want to talk to you about a national tragedy. That is leftover holiday candy. Now, I work at a local food bank, and we do on occasion have holiday things where we give away stocking stuffers for children, and before Christmas we will put candy canes into those, or maybe there's a community trick-or-treat and we will give out treats to kids. But after the holiday, the food bank does not want your leftover candy. We don't give it out. See, we're trying to give healthy food to people who are hungry, not leftover candy to people who are poor, because that's not helping them live a healthy lifestyle. So if you give us your leftover Halloween candy around Thanksgiving, it goes to a hog farm to feed pigs that will then turn into bacon, which will then feed people. And if you give us your leftover candy canes after Christmas, that will also be disposed of. If not to hogs, it will just be thrown out. So be very conscientious about when you're buying candy, that you are only buying as much as will be consumed at the holiday. Any more than that, and you've got to figure out what you're going to do with your leftover candy. Now, Christmas is past, and that means candy canes. Candy canes are the worst because they're all individually wrapped, or they've got the cellophane spiral around them and they're so hard to unwrap. And so a lot of times if you try to get rid of your candy by donating it to the food bank, we can't spend the time unwrapping all of these to turn them into animal feed. They just get thrown out. So this year in February, when a bunch of people decided to donate their candy canes to us, I said, hey, let me have these couple, and I'll come up with something to do with them. So what we're making today is mint chocolate chip ice cream. It's perfect because this being donated in February means that I can make this up by March. These things, by the way, like the pull date on candy canes, like these would be good for 5 years, as long as the plastic doesn't get a hole in it and moisture doesn't get to the candy cane. So it's basically pure sugar with a little bit of mint flavoring. So to make ice cream, you sometimes use eggs, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a Philadelphia style ice cream. What is a Philadelphia style ice cream? A Philadelphia style ice cream is cream, milk, and sugar. That's it. Now, the proportions of that vary. I've seen some people say, okay, 2 parts of whole milk, 1 part of whipping cream, 1 part of sugar. Okay, I've seen equal parts of cream and milk, and then 1 part of, okay, well, you know what? If I'm going to be mixing whipping cream and milk, I might as well go with half and half. It's just easier, it's pre-done, it's all homogenized, everything's easy. So that's what I'm gonna go with. But you could make this vegan by using coconut milk. Now, you can get, almond or coconut milk in the carton, but this doesn't have enough fat. You see, ice cream is pretty much just fat and sugar with enough water ice crystals to make it frozen, and therefore iced cream. So this will end up with too much water and not enough fat, so you're going to want to have canned. And if you can get a higher fat content, I know this says light, if you can get a higher fat content of coconut milk, that's great. Be aware though, that's very different from coconut cream, which would be used in like a pina colada, which is highly sweetened. This is coconut and sugar and then water. So coconut cream is like the sweetened condensed milk of the coconut world. Stay away from that. You're gonna want canned coconut milk that has the higher fat content for making that. Now, just because you're making it vegan, like you can get vegan candy canes and you can get vegan coconut milk and such, just because it's vegan does not make it health food, because you're still putting a ton of sugar and there's still a ton of fat in this. It's not health food, it's just a non-animal based version. You can do this organic. You can get organic cream and organic sugar made into candy canes and do this. Just because it's organic does not make it health food. It's still fat and sugar in ice crystals. That does not make it healthy. This is not health food no matter what you do with it. I think Ben & Jerry's has talked about that recently. Now, I'm making mine with cow dairy, so I'm gonna get started. Now, half and half is half whole milk, half cream. And as you saw, that cream that I put away was only 30% fat. What is whole milk? I think it's around 8% in the United States. You could do 2% or skim milk mixed with cream, but you're just adding fat to a fat-reduced beverage. So might as well just go with half and half. Now I've got 2 cups of that. I now need my 3rd cup to be sugar. But candy canes have a lot of whipped air into them, so we should probably weigh this to get our 8 ounces instead of measuring it by volume. So I've got a whole box of 40 mini candy canes, and if I were to just measure 1 cup of candy cane, approximately, you'd be like, okay, that's definitely a cup. Well, here's the thing. This is only 3 ounces, and I know that 8 ounces is a cup. If I put in all 40 of these, I'm still only at 6.49 or 6.5 ounces. That's not enough. I need a full cup. So let's try these slightly more dense, kind of pillow mint style. Oh, this is a cup. Yes, this right here, this whole bowl is 1 cup. Well, these mint twists, as Christmassy as they do look, do not Christmas make, but definitely those candy canes do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unwrap all these candy canes. I'm gonna weigh them without their wrappers on, which is gonna be negligible difference. And then I'm gonna refill up with these pillow mints. And once I get 8 ounces, I'm going to put that into my cream. Finally, I've got my 8 ounces of mint flavored sugar right here. And now I need to dissolve that in this cream. Now, there's a lot of ways that I could do this. 1, I could put this in a food processor and break it up into smaller crystals so it dissolves faster. 2, I could put this into the cream, put that in my blender so that it gets chopped up finer and dissolves more quickly. Or 3, the super lazy option, I just put it together like that, put saran over this, and leave it in my refrigerator for a day or so until all the candy canes have dissolved. Now we are going to eventually heat this up, and when we do that, I'm going to, and oh, you can already see the colors are dissolving out. So I'm gonna microwave it, and heat will also help dissolve that. But you know what, it's the morning, I've got work to get off to and things like that, so I'm just gonna pop this in my refrigerator with a cover on it and leave it for a little while. And that little while could be a day or more. I just want to make sure that I'm using this before the cream kind of turns over. And I'm just realizing this was supposed to be 4 cups. I was supposed to have 3 cups of milk and or cream and 1 cup of the sugar. So I'm gonna fix that. It's gonna be fixed in the video when I put in the recipe. Yeah, things happen when I'm in a rush. Just before I close up for today's filming and get back to it on another day, I want to talk about other ingredients that you may want to have. 1, chocolate. I love real, genuine, dark chocolate. And this, I find, it works really well in ice cream because it gives you that intense flavor. I find that milk chocolate in ice cream, the solid fats of the milk chocolate get too cold in the ice cream, and it ends up having a waxy texture in your mouth because it's not melting. But dark chocolate, because it lacks that fat, doesn't really get that waxiness. It's just bursts of chocolate flavor. So that's why I prefer dark chocolate over milk chocolate. You could always do a ganache or a fudge swirl if you wanted to. You could use semi-sweet chocolate chips, but I find that they're a little bit too big. You could get the mini ones, but I'm just going to chop up this bar into little tiny fragments so there's a variety of different pieces, but none of them as big as a regular chocolate chip. Now, because candy canes usually come in red, you're going to end up with pink mint ice cream, and that's okay. Everybody will look at it and go, oh, what flavor is this? Cherry with chocolate, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll taste it and go, whoa, mint. Oh, I'm talking about peppermint. All you need to do to counteract that is a little bit of green food coloring. You're not going to get the insanely bright green that a lot of people think of for mint ice cream. You're going to get more of a natural green, more like a real leaf sort of green. It's going to be slightly brownish, but it's going to have more of that real leaf chlorophyll color, which is why I think a bag of tea is really good. When I heat up my milk so that it's just to that simmering, steaming point, I'm actually going to infuse it with some real mint. If this were the summer and not in the winter when I have about 1.5 inches of ice on my garden, I would just grab up a bunch of real mint leaves, macerate them, turn them into a paste basically, and then add that real mint leaf paste to my mint ice cream, and it gives that real leaf chlorophyll, real mint flavor. Because it's winter, I'm going to do that with a tea bag. Now you can make your own tea by growing your own and drying out your leaves, but if you can't, just buy some mint tea and then steep it when you're heating up your milk. So those are the 3 additives that I would recommend having. 1, high quality chocolate. 2, green to counteract the red in the candy canes. And 3, real mint leaves, either infusing them as a tea or putting them in whole and then straining them out before you turn your ice cream, or turning them into a mint leaf puree and then putting them in and then straining out any stems or things like that left behind. But tea bags make that easy. All right, I'm gonna stop filming for today. We'll get back to this another day. Okay, it's been about 12 hours, and as you can see, most of the candy canes have dissolved. I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a stir. You can see how the dye from those candy canes is coming out. So this is what's left after 12 hours. I'm pretty sure after a full 24, all of these will be dissolved. All right, it's been 24 hours since I put those candy canes into this half and half, and just repeating, I had to correct myself. I had only put in 2 cups of half and half. I needed 3 cups, and then adding in a 4th cup of candy canes. So I got all that volume stuff done. I put my candy canes in there to dissolve, and after 24 hours, looking at the bottom of the glass, oh, it looks like I've got 1 chunk of candy cane that hadn't quite dissolved yet. See how tiny that is? So I'm not worried about that. I'm pretty sure in the churning process it's not going to make a big deal. And if there's a tiny little fleck of actual peppermint candy in my mint ice cream with all of the chunks of chocolate, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. Now, it's time to fix our green. I used a bunch of candy canes that already had a bunch of green in them, so I've already got a pretty decent green color. However, if you started off with the typical red and white candy canes, you will have a lovely pink. Now you can have pink peppermint, that's no problem, but St. Patrick's Day is what follows up Christmas, and so we should probably switch it to green. That's where you put in your food coloring. And be very delicate with this. I would put in 1 drop of food coloring, incorporate it fully. Look at the green, 2 drops of food coloring, just a little bit at a time until you get the right green. Now, what is the right green? Well, this is the color of green that corporate America has decided is acceptable as a mint ice cream. And you know what? By pure accident, my mint ice cream has ended up pretty much that color green. This has Oreo chunks in it instead of chocolate chips or chunks of chocolate bar, but it gets the point across. It's mint ice cream, so that's going to be mint ice cream. I don't actually have to do anything unless I want to make it more of a green color. I'm going to leave it as it is because I'm lazy. So now that I've decided on additive 1, I get to decide on additive 2. Do I want to infuse this with actual natural mint? Because this is going to be homemade ice cream, I say yes. I want actual leafy mint flavor in my mint ice cream. It's going to be way more intense than if I had just steeped a tea bag of mint in my half and half cream while I was warming it up. But you know what? I love the actual flavor of real, so I'm going to go ahead and put in this tea bag. Now we're going to microwave this to warm it up. Some people would do this over the stove, but I find that microwaves do it a little bit easier. I am all about using less dishes for doing your kitchen projects. I mean, this would have been faster had I chopped up the candy canes in a food processor, but then I'd have to wash my food processor. It would have been faster if I had then put those chopped up candy cane pieces with the half and half into my blender, but then I would have had to have cleaned my blender. By just using 1 bowl, I've saved myself a lot of cleaning up. Now, I've read that a lot of people have this philosophy that the cook doesn't clean up, that if somebody cooks, the other person is responsible for cleaning up. If you are in a pandemic situation and you are the cook, you do have a responsibility to clean as you go. You need a clean area when you start cooking, and you should clean up little blops and blips and stuff like that as you're going along, so that whoever is coming in after you to clean up doesn't want to murder you. So if you're doing this and you do leave a food processor and a blender and a mixer and all sorts of things dirty with, sloppy dribbles of sticky ice cream all over the place, I'm just telling you, if you end up getting throttled instead of hugged for making mint ice cream, not my fault. Clean up before, clean up during, clean up after. Okay, what do we need to do to simmer milk? Well, the appropriate temperature to simmer cream or milk is 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Boiling point is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. By the way, anybody who's working in Celsius, oh bless you, you have a sensible measuring system for everything. So if you're doing this in Celsius, it's 80 to 82 degrees Celsius. But if you're doing it Fahrenheit, which I'm in America, so that's why I'm doing, I need it to be at 180. I can't get it actually up to boiling, which is why I'm using the microwave. Okay, here we go. 4 cups with a tea bag in the microwave. Now, I don't know much about this microwave other than it came with the house when we bought it. So from my experience with this microwave, I find that for every cup I need about a minute of time to get it to a simmer, and then I check. So I'm gonna put it at 4 minutes, and now I'm gonna wait, pull it out once it's done, give it a stir, and then take its temperature. Don't take its temperature without stirring it, because you know how on a Hot Pocket there will be sections that are molten lava and others that are ice chunks? That can even happen when you've got a free-floating liquid. So in 4 minutes, pull out, give it a stir, then take its temperature. Give it a little bit of a stir. Now you might be tempted, oh, I'll just use the thermometer that I use for checking people's fevers. Don't do that, because most of them will stop at about 105 to 110 because, well, if you get to that temperature, your brain is boiling and you need to go to the hospital. Any fever above 103, yeah, you need medical attention, at least when it comes to Fahrenheit. So you're gonna want to have maybe a candy thermometer. This one has 100, 150, 200. So if I'm going for 180, I'm going just below the 200, but above the 150 stage. So I've given it that stir, I put it in, and I wait, and I watch. Just shy of 125. So what was I going for? 180 was it? So I've got a little bit more to go on this. So put the thermometer down, put the spoon down, and put this back in the microwave for not the full 4 minutes. I think I'll just do 2 minutes. While that's doing its thing, I'm gonna chop up my fancy chocolate. It's gonna splinter into tiny little pieces, but you know what? That's just fine with me. I just want it to not interfere too much with the spooning of the ice cream, so I'm chopping it so that the biggest pieces are smaller than the average chocolate chip. Could I do this in a food processor? Yeah. And no, that doesn't really save me any dishes, because the knife and the cutting board or the food processor, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But I like having a bit more control on the level of chocolate dust I have. All right, back over at the microwave. Let's see. Goes in with a stir. $180, awesome, we are there. And not much past, so got some things to clean up. I'm going to leave this tea bag in there. Now we can't just immediately put this into our ice cream maker because it is steaming hot, and that is the opposite of what ice cream is. So I'm gonna leave this tea bag in. I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit until it's not hot to the touch, and then I'm going to put it into the refrigerator and chill it down, which means I started this yesterday morning, 24 hours. I'm now putting it into the refrigerator after it cools down. That means, you know, I probably won't be churning ice cream until, well, later tonight after work. So, definitely a 2-day project. All right, I've got my green cream and mint mixture with some infusion from a mint tea bag. There was a little bit of a skin that had formed because I had a bit of an air gap between my my saran wrap and my Pyrex, but honestly I'm not worried about that causing a problem. Set up your ice cream maker the way that it is required to do its business, and then go. If you've got one of those shake makers, great. This is 4 cups. Some small ice cream makers can't do 4 cups. Some big old-fashioned ice cream makers can handle as much as 8. I can't remember how much my handles, So I'm just gonna eyeball it. I think that's your lot. I'm just gonna let this go for the time that my ice cream maker takes. We're at 20 minutes. And this is at a very soft serve texture. So I'm gonna actually keep it going for another 10 minutes. I can't go indefinitely though, because I can see on the outside of my frozen bowl here that it is slowly warming up to room temperature. Now luckily we are in March, and in my area we had a very hard frost this morning, and we won't be sure that we're not going to get snowstorms until sometime in mid-May. So I can still be doing this. If, however, I was in a very hot kitchen, I would stop now and move that into the container that I'm going to keep it in the freezer with. That's 30 minutes in my ice cream maker, and you can see how the ice cream has come up on the sides. That's more like what I want to see. Okay, now I don't put chunky stuff in my ice cream maker because I just find it turns that whatever it is into a powder or a smoosh, and you don't actually get good stripes if you're doing fudge, or good chunks if you're doing berries or chocolate. So I put in some of the ice cream like that, and then sprinkle. I'll got the air bubbles, more ice cream, smoosh that in. Have a clean countertop in case this happens. Clean hands too. Okay. This is now going into the freezer. And everything else is soft serve Scooby snacks. All right, it's taken about 2 days, and I now have some mint ice cream out of candy canes. So let's give it a taste test first. Let's go with corporate America. And this actually has Oreos in it instead of just chocolate chips, but I'm going to go for a section that's mostly just the ice cream and less of the cookie. Mint, a little bit of chocolate from the cookie. Okay, let's now try mine. The color is lighter because it doesn't have flakes of brown chocolate cookie in it. You know, it's actually really hard to compare because the store-made mint ice cream had Oreos in it, and so though it had a strong flavor, it was mostly Oreo. And mine is definitely more mint forward. And here's the difficult thing, like, because I didn't use fresh mint leaves this time, I'm not getting that fresh mint flavor. So I don't know if actually steeping that tea in it really did anything. But yeah, mine definitely is mint. And then a couple chunks of dark chocolate in it. Nice little bit of crunch. Of course, what I put into the freezer in the big bowl has more because I dumped most of the chocolate into that one. So yeah, mine is definitely more mint, and I don't know if that's because the candy canes had more intense mint flavor, or the tea bag made a difference, or the Oreos just overpowered the mint that was in the corporate America version of mint ice cream. So wrapping up, to make this easy type of ice cream, you're going to need 3 cups of whatever your cream and milk mix is. You can use half and half. You can do plant-based with coconut or almond milk, as long as it's got enough fat to do the business. So 3 cups of that, and then 8 ounces by weight of a hard candy. You can use candy canes, or you can make butterscotch or orange creamsicle using hard orange candies or licorice candies. You can use any kind of hard candy in this. I find gummy candies don't work that well. And if you're trying to do something with like very strong fruit flavors like Jolly Ranchers, you really need to separate them out and just use one flavor at a time, because if you put them all together, it ends up weird. So, 3 cups of your cream and milk, 8 ounces by weight of your hard candy. Dissolve the hard candies, put it in your ice cream maker, make ice cream, eat ice cream, have a good time. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was fun and informative, and we will see you again next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.